Make sure the.
Northern and South cities, budgetary issues. Changing states, so it's. Properties that. Yes, second homes, properties in New York that are second homes.
Whatever the count is, we're here. Just flying by the seat of my pants right now.
That rising number of homes and
My phone. Yeah, bring it in.
We need more back.
Lindsay. Hi.
Hi.
You ready?
Yeah.
You guys ready?
I'm.
Both ready, what?
Ready?
So loud, John?
Huh?
Do you want this?
No.
You want the gal in here? Wouldn't?
Welcome to the City of Petoskey City Council for May 18th, 2026. I ask that you rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk Beck, would you please call roll?
Demore,
Present.
Wilmot,
Present.
Nachtrob,
Present.
Walker,
Present.
Murphy.
Present. We have a quorum of 5. Next is a proclamation. There's several of them. The first one is to hear Petoskey Northman girls basketball team proclamation. Do you want them to come up, shall we? Why don't you guys come up here and we'll get a picture of you guys as she reads the proclamation.
Yep.
Yep.
What a team.
Oh, fine. Are you ready?
Okay.
Oh, Oh, yeah. Whereas the 2025-2026 season was a notable year for Petoskey Northman girls basketball team. And whereas on the basketball court, the girls team finished the season 22-4 after starting the season at the beginning of November with conditioning workouts in Northman Stadium and running the hills at the Winter Sports Park and ending the season in March. And whereas the 2025-2026 Petoskey Northman girls team was a diverse team age-wise, but a team that gelled together seamlessly and included team members, excuse me if I butcher your names, Lauren LaHaye, Leah Solitis, Claire O'Donnell, Kylie Bromley, Hayden Wegman, Julia Dieterly, Nora Rassignol, Courtney Howard, Cora Howard, Lila Janes, Ella Solitis, Elena Flynn, Haley Wegman, Katie Robinson, Fran Poole, Isla Scheib, and Mia Wilson, coached by Brooke Carlson. And whereas the following team standouts include won the Big North Conference in the regular season, won a district championship, won a regional championship for the first time since 1999, finished the regular season ranked number 15 in the state in Division II, beat both Traverse City schools twice, beat Sault Ste. Marie 3 times, avenged losses to Cadillac and Gaylord with back-to-back wins against those teams later in the year. Ended the season on March 18th with a loss to number 7 Flint Powers in the quarterfinals. whereas the team wasn't just successful on the court, they earned Team Academic All-State with the highest weighted average GPA of 3.9847 in the entire state, with 9 varsity players with a weighted GPA of 4.0 or higher. And whereas the 5 seniors are going to NCMC for elementary education, GVSU Honors College for nursing, University of Cincinnati for materials science and engineering, MSU for kinesiology, and the United States Military Academy at West Point for biomedical engineering. And whereas the team is active in community engagement and invited Petoskey Youth girls basketball teams to join for practices during the season and invited them to play at halftime of one of the games, visited the elementary schools to mingle and engage with those students and reconnect with the elementary schools that the team members attended, and will be playing with Petoskey Little League's Challenger team on June 12th. Now, therefore, John Murphy, Mayor of the City of Petoskey, together with City Council, do hereby recognize and congratulate the Petoskey Northman girls basketball team, coaches, and staff for their outstanding 2025-2026 season, culminating the Division II Regional Championship and example of excellence in academics.
I like it, especially the academic piece of it, because that's going to take you a long way, and so congratulations, not just to your success in basketball, but also in the academic achievements, because those are also really bold, number one in class B or state for higher level of academic average, so that's, it's something to really as well, but I know the city of Petoskey really enjoyed it, attending your games, your tournaments. People up here, we really enjoy rooting you guys on, and we look forward to future you setting a path for the future teams to do the same thing, or maybe take it one step farther. So again, let's give them a hand. Another
Boys. Whereas, yeah.
Hey, boys, you guys want to come up, Steve Jim, are you here? Anybody?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Come on. Who wants to have all this?
Whereas the 2025-2026 season was a historic redemption year for Petoskey Northman men's ski team with a new mindset of, so what, now what? And whereas the men's team returned to the summit of Michigan High School ski racing, securing their MHSAA Division II State Championship on February 23rd, 2026 at Shush Mountain. The Northmen won 5 straight titles from 2020 to 2024 before a runner-up finish last year, and also won 8 straight state titles from 2011 to 2018. With this latest state title, the Northmen have now won 12 state titles in the last 14 years, cementing their status as one of the premier ski programs in the Midwest. And whereas the 2025-2026 Petoskey Northmen men's team includes seniors Taylor Kieswetter and Liam Cleary, juniors Eli Detmer and Mick Galbraith, sophomores Chris Kieswetter, freshmen Cole Whitener, Griffin Dunn, Dominic Olson, Kaylin Galbraith, and Matthew Ragier. Coaching staff Tony Blancato, Jack Talcott, Eric Smith, and Corey Cook. And whereas the following team standouts include all 6 varsity men's team finished in the top 10 in the slalom at the state final. Taylor Kieswetter capped his high school career by winning individual giant slalom, I'm used to saying GS, state title in a time of 49.38 seconds, nearly a full second ahead of the field. Eli Detmer led the team in slalom, finishing 5th overall in the state with a time of 67.46 seconds. Mick Galbraith finished 6th in slalom. Chris Kieswetter showed consistency by finishing 8th in GS and 10th in slalom, providing vital points for the team win. Griffin Dunn and Cole Whitener sealed the state title by finishing 7th and 8th overall in the slalom. Liam Cleary, Dominic Olson, Kaylin Galbraith, and Matthew Ruggiero were the team's support staff on and off hill, winning as one. And whereas the team wasn't just fast on the hills, they earned academic all-state honors with a combined team GPA of 3.48, ranking 11th in the state for Division II. Now therefore, John Murphy, Mayor of the City of Petoskey, together with City Council, do hereby recognize and congratulate the Petoskey Northman men's ski team, coaches, and staff for their outstanding 2025-2026 season, culminating the Division II State Championship, an example of excellence in academics.
They probably don't get as many spectators as the girls did. I mean, the Cold Hill, but what a proud honor. 12 out of 14 years, you guys have carried on, helping to carry on the flag of state championships and boys downhill skiing. And we want to say thank you very much for bringing an honor to Petoskey, not just to the high school, but to the city of Petoskey as well. So again, thank you guys for what you do. We look forward to seeing more teams up here next year, so carry on. Thank you again. I want to thank Sarah Beck for doing the reading. Of course. We were honored to honor you guys. Thank you again, you guys. I'll see you next year, I hope. All but the seniors, and you guys. Thank you, Superintendent.
Thank you.
You got it.
Okay.
We've got more stuff going on here. We've got more students to honor, and I'm going to turn this over to hear a presentation from the Petoskey Youth Advisory Council. This is the second year that we've had this council. I got to thank our City Council Ward 1, Tina Demore, for her leadership. It's been outstanding. You can tell she loves this job, and I think someday if she's not up here at City Council, we hope that she will continue to lead the banner for this because she works really well with the school and with you guys. I know you guys shake your head when I mention her name and you guys all said yes. So that's a great tribute. Sir, take it away.
Hello, everyone. I'm Taylor Keysweater. I'll be doing an introduction for the Petoskey Youth Advisory Council for this year of 2025-2026. Could we go to the next slide, please? So starting off first, we're going to go over the leadership quadrant. So a quick overview of our roles in the leadership quadrant would include primarily revolving around the monthly meetings with just the 3 people in the quadrant and Tina, which are the 2 co-presidents, myself and Charlie Olson, along with Ida Dawn. And those happen, but like prior to our Youth Advisory Council meetings with the whole group, which happen on the second Monday of each month. In this meeting, we finalize a proposed agenda, which one of the co-chairs will write up, which is one of the roles. We split the roles into that, and the other person will go over to the meeting outreach once we finalize the agenda after these meetings. And also in this meeting, we will just check over the meeting minutes from the prior meeting. Each one of our positions is up for election in January. And the next year, the 2 co-chairs will be Ayla Shields and Amelie Janssens, while Anya Peck will be the next secretary. In January, the members who are interested in these leadership roles come to the meeting prepared with a speech, and that same goes for the quadrant chairs who are also decided in a vote. At the beginning of each of our yearly meetings, each member set a goal for a skill they hope to develop through this committee. My goal was to improve my public speaking. Through leading meetings alongside other members of the leadership quadrant and much help from Tina, I found myself speaking in front of a full room for nearly 2 hours each month. Serving as co-chair allowed me to accomplish this goal simply by stepping into and embracing my role. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Charlie, and this is my second year on the PEAC, and I served as co-chair. To help, oh, next slide, please. Sorry.
Here.
Thank you.
Oh, this one?
Yes. To help build leadership skills, PEAC members participated in a put out the fire exercise. Before starting, members identified their leadership styles and were paired with people who approached the problems differently. During the activity, members represented either City A or Township B, two communities with separate fire departments. A merger between the departments could save money for both communities, but disagreements about sharing costs and control made the decision complex. Members had to work together and use skills like communication, diplomacy, and teamwork to come to a decision. This exercise aimed to provide a real-world example for members to work through as we learned to collaborate with others who may think differently than ourselves. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Hello, my name is Ida Dewan, and I'm the current Secretary of Petoskey Youth Advisory Council. I have served on PYC for 2 years now. Our quadrant system was implemented this year in order to increase leadership opportunities and efficiency. As you'll see tonight, there are 4 quadrants: leadership, volunteerism, issues, and communication. And quadrants meet prior to PYC meetings in order to discuss and take action on any current initiatives. Quadrant chairs schedule quadrant meetings, do outreach, and provide updates regarding quadrant's work. In order to more experientially learn about city governance, Petoskey Youth Advisory Council, I'm blanking. I'm very tired. I just came from I flew overnight from California, and my brain is totally fried. So for example, we do agendas and minutes and offer opportunity for public comment. We also work in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. Next slide, please. So shown on this slide are a couple member statements about what they've learned and achieved this past year from serving on PYSC. And personally, in my goal, I think I've grown in increasing my leadership skills, and I've become more confident in sharing my opinions on various topics, and I feel that PYC has given me a very good groundwork and experience for any of my future endeavors in life. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Hello, my name is Sam Ingalls. This is my second year on the City of Petoskey's Youth Advisory Council. I am the chair for the volunteerism quadrant. So this year for volunteerism, we set out to create stations to keep kids occupied at local events in the community. Next slide, please. To begin with the first local event, the Winter Carnival at the Winter Sports Park, we created stations such as ring toss, a photo booth, face painting, and mask making. These events were a big hit with the younger kids and took stress off the parents. This event was set up and sponsored by the Parks and Rec Commission, where we volunteered to assist. Next slide, please. In these photos, we partnered with Flowers with Friends for our November meeting to make these flower setups for Veterans Day, which we handed out at the Odawa Casino. It was a big hit. It was a good volunteerism event. And this year, my goal was to expand on my leadership abilities by collaborating with my peers and expressing my ideas with confidence. I'd say I grew positively in this area, but I still have more growth in years to come throughout college. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Hello, my name is Samia Yepez. This is my first year on Petoskey Youth Advisory Council, and
Hold the mic down. There you go.
I'm part of the volunteerism quadrant. Along with everything else that Sam just mentioned. We helped Parks and Rec with summer parks picnics. These were held at Arlington, Curtis, and Washington Park. We held them for the community. We had food and games provided. My goal for Petoskey Youth Advisory Council this year was to get better with my local government and try and be a voice for my peers. I personally feel like I've gotten better knowing my local government, but not being a voice. I need to try and get better with that. Thank you.
Chris. Just show the next slide, will you? There you
Did I
go.
not
Oh,
advance?
perfect.
Oh, stay next, it's okay.
All good.
Hi, my name is Chris Keysweater. This is my first year and I'm a part of the Communications Quadrant. The Communications Quadrant is the voice of the Petoskey Youth Advisory Council. We are the bridge between our work and the community through awareness by keeping the public informed and engaged, through presence by keeping the website updated, and lastly, through outreach by handling all physical and online outreach. My personal goals, next year I will be the co-chair of the Issues Committee with Liam Washington, and I am beyond excited to start working. My personal goals are to inspire younger students to play a more active role in our community. By handing out a plethora of applications along with presenting to many classrooms, I feel I've greatly achieved this goal. Next year, my position will also be a great way to further accomplish this. Thank you.
Next slide, please. My name is Amelie Janssens. This is my second term on PIAC, and I am part of the Communications Quadrant, as well as the incoming co-chair for the 2026-2027 term. We began the Communications Quadrant as a way to increase community awareness and outreach. We felt the best way to do this would be through a website. So about 2 years ago, Councilmember Shields and I partnered with City Clerk Sarah Beck to form our PIAC website. On this website, you can find pictures of our council volunteering at various events, as well as pictures of us during our monthly meetings. You can also access our policies as well as agendas and minutes. And on the website, we also made sure to include a link to our PIAC application that individuals can either fill out online or on a paper copy that has been provided to them. My goal in the beginning of the year as a PIAC member was to gather a better understanding of how our city runs in order to see if working with the government is something I want to pursue in the future, and it has helped me realize that at some point in my life, I do want to hold some sort of leadership position. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Good evening. My name is Ayla Shields. This is my second term on PIAC. This year, I've been a part of the Communication Quadrant, and I'm elected to be co-president for the upcoming year. Something we find important in PIAC is valuing youth voices, so we tried to take youth ideas by reaching out in our school to ask their opinions on things going on in the city. For example, there's a survey sent out that high school students had access to so they could vote on what they wanted for the park. Riverbend Park is also hosting a summer ward picnic this year that PIAC members will be helping out to be more involved in our community. Some other outreach we have done was an article and photo shoot done by the Michigan Municipal League, as well as an article written by our PIAC council member, Ida Dwan, that was sent out in the news review. We also made PIAC shirts that we could wear while volunteering. These were designed by our members and voted on by the whole council. My goal at the beginning of the year was to dive deeper to how the city government works, and I've definitely learned more about it throughout this year by running meetings and stepping into the co-chair position. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Hi, I am Monty Lesky, the chair of the Communication Quadrant, and this is my first year on the Petoskey Youth Advisory Council. The council has worked hard this year and has dialed in on our recruitment process. We utilize various outlets to spread the word about the council, such as presentations at school during Thursdays and Fridays, a video presentation made by the Communication Quadrant, a homeschool network system mainly driven by Ida Dwan, and many others. The most efficient and successful outlet that was utilized were presentations given by council members Liam and Chris. At the beginning of each sophomore English class, both members would present to each class about PIAC, why they should join, and how to join. This outlet recruited the most applicants and informed people in a meaningful way. I personally presented to our tribal community through a meeting ran through Robin Ingalls. I was able to explain to parents what PIAC was and the benefits of understanding our city council. Next slide, please. These are just some testimonies from us, and for me personally, I felt that I was able to achieve my goal, and my goal is, while observing the city council in action during my service on PIAC, I've developed a better understanding of the government's process and specifically how the council approaches and then votes on issues even when there are differing opinions. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, council. My name is Brian Tang, and this is my first year serving on Petoskey Youth Advisory Council as a senior. I'm a part of the Issues Quadrant, and this year we wanted to target something that maybe that not many people know that's happening in our city, and that is homelessness. So we were trying to bring back the Unhoused Voucher Project, where we were trying to get with local nonprofits to like maybe get like hotel rooms or just a place to stay for the homeless. And we experienced a lot of obstacles, a lot of problems with communications, but we kept trying. And as of right now, that is still an ongoing process. And this was led by Council Member Schuman. She's currently not here, but she did most of the work, so big applause to her. And as Councilmember Ingalls stated, we did a lot of flower arrangements for Veterans Day that was very successful. Veterans loved it, and we were very happy to hear about that. Next slide, please. Thank you. And also, in order for the Issues Quadrant to really think how we can make an impact on the city of Petoskey, we first need to truly understand what is happening in our city and how it operates, and we need to witness it firsthand. So as a Youth Advisory Council, we send 1 to 2 PIAC members to every city council meeting to document the information presented and report back to the group so we can stay informed and up to date on city business. Additionally, as Councilmember Jansen stated, we met with City Clerk Sarah Beck to review our new webpage and discuss changes and additions that would better advertise us as a group to the public, as well as make it so that the public has easier access and easier to navigate and not as confusing as what it was. And as well as over the summer, Youth Council's member went on a trolley tour with Mr. Klingelsmith to the various parks that the city has to offer, and which is what Liam will talk about next. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Liam Washington. This is my first year on Petoskey YAC, and I'm currently serving on the Issues Quadrant. In this picture, our group is visiting the Winter Sports Park during the trolley tour that was led by Mr. Klingelsmith. We did this to get a better understanding of all of the parks and what is needed to be put forward to solve the issues. Additionally, we were able to see firsthand where and the type of expansions that could be added to the park. For example, an expansion that we looked at was extra parking for moments of overcrowding, like during the Winter Carnival. Next slide, please. In this picture, our group is actually voting on the expansions we saw. We ranked them in order of importance. This was a good opportunity for us as it gave us the chance to see what the voting and expansion process would look like for the general public. To close, one of my goals this last year was to learn more and understand how local government is run. Through Petoskey YAC, I was able to do this, so thank you very much.
Next slide, please. Good evening. My name is Eloise Jones, and this has been my first year serving on the Petoskey Youth Advisory Council as a member of the Issues Quadrant. This year, during our April meeting, we had the privilege of hosting Eric Hemingway for a Native American cultural presentation. Mr. Hemingway shared the rich history of the Native tribes in our area, as well as the devastating impact settlement had on their communities and lands, but also the impact of strong leadership in helping them persevere. Listening to such an engaging historian and storyteller while also having the opportunity to ask questions was an incredibly valuable experience for the PIAC. Additionally, PIAC members were given the opportunity to engage in Michigan Municipal League training along with City Council members. Those of us that were able to attend gained a greater understanding of the Open Meetings Act as well as parliamentary procedure. Next slide, please. My personal goal coming into PIAC was to learn more about local policymaking and how officials collaborate across different departments. As a graduating senior at PHS, I've spent the last few years trying to figure out what I want to study in college, and my time in PIAC has absolutely solidified my desire to pursue a career in government. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Hi, my name is Anya Peck, and I've been a member of PIAC for just 1 year, and I have been part of the volunteerism quadrant this year. Next year, I was elected to be the secretary. This past March, me and a council member, Roger, attended Michigan Municipal League's Capital Conference down in Lansing.
Next slide, please. Hi, my name is Eliza Roger. This is my first year on Petoskey Youth Advisory. Currently I'm in the volunteer quadrant, and next year I'm taking over as the volunteer quadrant chair. And this is a photo of Councilmember Peck and I having the opportunity to speak with State Senator Demus. He told us about a bipartisan bill he was working on with the focus of human trafficking. He also discussed how hard it is to convey the damages the ice storm brought northern Michigan to those who live in the southern side of the state. Next slide.
Here we were giving our presentation on our Youth Advisory Council to a room of over 100 elected officials. Also, students from Farmington Hills Mayor Council attended our presentation and connected with us after. It was really helpful to exchange contact information with them. This way we could reach out to them if we needed and discuss any ideas in the future.
Next slide, please. Here we answered questions the audience asked following our presentation. A few specific questions were, how does our youth council differ from a student council at a local high school? How do we gain interest of youth to apply? And some other questions asked about how our meetings are run and the structure and format of the council. These questions helped us provide a blueprint for creating youth advisory councils to those in attendance of our presentation at CapCon.
Next slide, please. Later, we met with House Representative Fairburn, and we were lucky enough to be invited onto the House floor. We saw the process of voting on a bill, and we were able to speak with many other representatives around us. We could ask them questions we had about the voting process. Next slide, please. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to speak to you guys today, and we really appreciate your time.
I want to say thank you for all that you have done of connecting, learning more about the city, not just city council, but I know you've gone field trips with department heads. You've gotten a feel for what Petoskey is all about, and it enables you to make better decisions on your own life, I think, as well as give us feedback. Somebody mentioned about public speaking. I think you guys have all taken a step forward on public speaking, because some of you spoke last year, and I see a big step forward on all of your confidence, your abilities, and so feel very proud about that. And also your goal setting. I was really impressed where you said, well, you accomplished this goal, but I have something more on this goal to work on. So you're self-evaluating all the time to make yourself a better person. And hats off to each and every one of you. Where I know I'm speaking for council here, we are all impressed, and congratulations, and look forward to continue to working with those that are going to returning and those that are moving on. Keep up the good work, and we'll probably see you in government someplace down the road. So thank you. And I have something Mr. Moore would like to say.
Yeah, just real quick. One, I want to do a shout out to the Hestia Women's Giving Circle, whose funding supported the attendance of these young women at CapCon. And finally, I'd just like to recognize our graduating seniors. So if you're graduating and headed to the University of Michigan, please stand. If you're graduating and heading to Notre Dame, please stand. You could stay standing. Go ahead. And if you're graduating and heading to McAllister College, please stand. That's it.
Again, thank you. We look forward. I know, Counselor, do you have anything you want to say, or are you good?
Thank you. Well done, guys.
I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Do good recruiting and bring more back like you guys are, so
You've
that
already
it
done it.
continues to grow.
Talk to you soon.
Nice job.
Bye.
Great job. So impressive. I hope we're as impressed with the next presentation. That's.
No pressure, no pressure.
You're,
Pressure there.
you're number 4, and that's clean up batters, so we're looking for you to hit a home run for us, okay?
All right. This, there we go. She's gonna just bring up the presentation. So I'm Trina Oakes. I'm an audit partner with Dennis Gartland and Neargarth. And I'm here tonight to go over the financial results of the city for December 31st, 2025, the results of the audit. So the first page right after the index, and Sarah has graciously accepted to move the slides forward. So is our independent auditor's report. And the very first paragraph is our opinion. So we did find that everything was fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So that's what's called a clean or an unmodified opinion. And that's the highest level of assurance that we can provide you as auditors. It does go on to talk about the basis for our opinions in government auditing standards. So this year in 2025, because the city received over $1 million in federal funding, we also had to do a federal funding audit. So an additional audit requirement this year in accordance with government auditing standards. And then it talks about responsibilities for management of the financial statements. And that is just letting you know that the financial statements themselves are the responsibility of management of the city, and then our responsibility is to issue an opinion. So we'll turn next to page 6 in the printed booklet, or you can just scroll down a few pages to the management's discussion and analysis. So that is a nice summary of the financial results for the year. It's prepared by management of the city. On the financial highlights page there, the city's net position increased by $5.8 million or 5.66% in 2025. It does give a breakdown here of the governmental activities and the business type activities and component units. So the business type includes the electric and water and sewer funds. Governmental activities is pretty much everything else. Total revenues and transfers for the year were $41 million and total expenses were $34.7 million. The general fund had an increase in fund balance of $938,000 and ended the year with fund balance of $7.6 million. Of that, $2.4 million is non-spendable and $402,000 is committed. So that leaves unassigned or available for operations of $4.8 million. The city also did talk about some of the project highlights. It's a lot of street improvements that were done in 2025, as well as electrical system improvements. Then if we go back 2 pages to page 8, this is a summary of the net position with a table with some numbers in it. So total assets of the city were $111.8 million. That's made up of current assets of $50.8 million, which is up 7% from last year. And capital assets of $60.9 million, which is buildings, equipment, vehicles, and that it makes up 55% of the total assets of the city. Moving down to the liabilities there, total liabilities were $10.8 million. Current liabilities were $3.1 million, and non-current or long-term is $7.8 million. And that long-term includes $5.2 million in debts and then $2 million in the net pension liability. So overall, the liabilities are down 30% from fiscal year 2024. And then the net position there, 99, the total net position, 99.6 million, which is up 5% from 2024. That's made up of a net investment in capital assets of 54.8 million, restricted net position of 9.2 million, which has to be used for certain purposes, and then unrestricted of 35.7 million. It does make note here that capital assets are largely made up of electric, water, and sewer and street system assets. Moving on to the next page, page 9, gives the revenues and expenses of the city. The revenues are broken down between program revenues, which are specific to certain programs, and then general revenues. So program revenues were 27.1 million, which is up 12% from 2024. General revenues were 9.8 million. And so total revenues were 36.9 million, which is up 12%. Total expenses were 31.8 million, which is up 7% from fiscal year 2024. Some of the more major areas of the city include the public safety, public works, recreation and cultural, water and sewer, and electric expenses. So overall, on a citywide basis, there was a net increase in net position of $5.3 million. And from here, we're going to go all the way back to page 59, 58 in the paper copy, 59 in the PDF. The budgetary comparison for the general fund is presented there. So this shows the actual column of how the city performed for the year for the general fund, the original budget, and the final adopted budget. So the city adopted a final budget of 10.5 million for revenues and came in at 10.4, so just slightly under at about $93,000 under budgeted. Total expenditures were budgeted at 13.2 million and came in at 11.9, so better than budget by $1.3 million. So overall, the city had budgeted to have a net loss for the year of 327,000, but ended the year with a net income of 938,000. So that is a overall positive variance, better than budget by $1.2 million. The fund balance at the end of the year is $7.7 million. That's approximately 64% of your 2025 annual expenses, or about 7.5 months of expenses in the fund balance. From here, we're going to go back to page 75 in the paper copy, or 76 in the PDF, this is the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. So this is that federal grant audit that I mentioned. There were 3 separate grants received, grant sources. So the Michigan Department of DNR Recreation Grant, sorry, it's on page 75. Treasury, so ARPA funds, basically, coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. The city receives some, and the city also receives some from the county. So city receives some directly from the state and also applied for some from the county. And then the U.S. Department of Homeland Security grant, FEMA dollars for the ice storm, were about $895,000. So we did audit 2 of those 3 programs as a major program. So we looked at the compliance requirements for spending with those, and the city was in compliance 100% with the programs that we looked at. Any questions on the financial results? I can go over the letter. We can do questions at the end, or we can do questions now. I'll start with the audit-related communication letter. It's the separate letter that's attached with the financial statements. I didn't put, sorry, Sarah, didn't put a page number. So this talks about compliance and internal controls. So that's compliance with general laws and regulations, as well as your policies and procedures of the city. Again, we did do that federal grant audit and did not find any non-compliance or internal controls related to your federal funding. On page 2, we did have one item that we have reported on in the past and is very common in governmental entities. So that's the preparation of the financial statements. And so this is a finding where the standards require that management prepare this entire booklet with all the disclosures, but in reality, we do it for almost all of our clients. The city does review and approve the financial statements, any audit adjustments, the drafts of the financial statements before we issue them. So we're still independent to issue an opinion on the financial statements. We're reporting here that the general fund had one function that exceeded the budget, so that's recorded or reported within the financial statements as required by the standards. Under qualitative aspects of accounting practices, the accounting policies are listed in Note A. We found everything was recorded in the proper period. There was nothing where there was lack of guidance on how to record it. And then on page 3 of the letter, the estimates inherent in the financial statements include the net pension liability, which is based on information provided by MERS. And then the estimate of depreciation or depreciable lives, which is based on the adopted capitalization policies of the city. As far as significant disclosures, we mentioned the investment risk disclosures and the pension disclosures. We had no difficulties encountered in performing the audit. We had a couple of audit adjustments that are listed here at the bottom of the page. And then on the top of page 4, as a matter of convenience, we also posted adjustments for debt and capital asset activity, pension liability, and lease receivable activity, which is required by the standards. So we converted basically your component units to full accrual basis of accounting. There was no disagreements with management and no consultations with other accountants. And then starting on page 5, there's some new standards that are coming out. It seems like they come out with new standards every year. The first one is the financial reporting model improvements. This is effective for 2026. It has several components here. The biggest that will affect the city is it's changing what it wants to see in the management discussion and analysis. So that first section will change next year, as well as those budgetary comparison schedules. It's wanting more, requiring more narrative of when you go over budget, why that happened. Disclosure of certain capital assets, or GASB 104, is specific to certain kinds of assets, public-private partnerships, leases, intangibles. You don't currently have any of those, but this governs the accounting for those. The Uniform Grants Guidance capitalization thresholds. So the effective in the year ended September 30th, 2025, the federal guidelines increased the capitalization policy for federal grants up to $10,000. The city currently follows $5,000. So you could potentially increase your capitalization policy up to $10,000 if you would like to. It creates less bookkeeping on your depreciation schedules for those. In subsequent events, there's also another standard, GASB 105, that just requires more information if something happens after the end of the year that might have a potential liability or effect for the city. It has to be disclosed in the financial statements. And then finally, on page 6, under other matters, it talks about the all the schedules in the back of the financial statements, behind all the notes, the pension comparison schedules, the 10-year comparison schedules. We did look at the underlying information for those and found that everything was fairly presented. So any questions? Yes. Yeah.
I don't, and I don't think you do. For me, the right.
Council, do you have any questions? Joe, not on the letter, audit-related communication, I have actually 3 brief questions. One with a significant deficiency.
Yes.
It happens all the time.
Yes.
Every client has it. So what is your suggestion on the significant, because to me, it brings out unnecessary alarm when you put that significant.
Yes.
And there's no solution unless you just hire an accounting firm to be.
Correct. Yes, so that.
What's your suggestion that we should do?
Well, basically the suggestion is to review the drafts carefully, look at the audit adjustments, make sure that you understand everything that's in the financial statements.
And then if you did that, if we did that, that would be eliminated?
No.
It
wouldn't.
It seems silly.
It is. It's required by the standards. It's their language. They call it a significant deficiency.
That's what I thought, because to me, it's not at all a reflection of.
It's not. No, we have it in a lot of smaller entities.
Second question is, I got a little confused on the adjustment of the $1 million loan proceeds from the, could you just explain that in
Layman's terms?
little old layman's terms?
Right, so you received a brownfield development loan for your housing projects, I believe, of $1 million. And when that came in as revenue, it was posted against fund balance or your equity rather than posted to revenue. So we just moved it to revenue for the
Okay,
financial
so
statements.
how did that flow in our budget and our reporting during the year?
I posted it directly to, when I set it up with it in our system to establish a new fund, I posted it right to fund balance as equity, you know, it came in cash and equity in order for the budget to make sense. So at the end of the year, when we did the budget for 2026, it would show estimated what the fund balance would be for 2025 and estimated for 2026. So you'll see on page of the audit, you'll see that the fund balance I have and that the auditors have does agree.
Okay,
At the end of,
Instead of,
so your
I
report,
think you booked it to the loan proceeds and it wasn't really a revenue, like, you know, interest income or something that made sense. So it was more for budget presentation back in October, November.
my third question, and I think this is a typo, on your very last paragraph, you said it's restricted for the use of the board of directors. I assume that is for some other client, not, are we the board of directors or are we the city council?
oh, yes, it should say city council.
So this. okay,
You are
so
correct.
That is not a normal term.
No. No.
Thank you. That's
Mr. Moore.
So mine is just a postscript on Mr. Nachtrob's because every year I look, I call this the catch-22.
I know, it's,
This deficiency, because essentially what it's saying is that using you is the deficiency.
sort of, yes.
So, okay.
Using us, again, it's required, so it's inherent in the way that you do business, but it's not as if we found anything wrong related to it.
And then on page 3, I know I asked this question last year too,
Yes.
but my duty to do due diligence here. You say investment risk disclosures in note D describe various risks inherent in the city's investment portfolio. And last year I asked you, you know, what advice do you give us to minimize or those identified risks? And my recollection is there isn't any. Is that correct?
That is true. So your investment risk disclosures tells you things like maturity, like how long of maturity you have on your assets, the ratings that you have on those. You use investment advisors, they have benchmarks that they have to meet. You're all within those benchmarks. This is simply pointing out that those, you know, risk disclosures are included in the financial statements. However, we're not identifying necessarily any risks. It just helps the reader identify whether you're carrying current investments or long-term investments and what kind of ratings they have on those.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Walker.
Thank you for your presentation. So on page 2 of the summary, was it shared what the general fund had one function expenditure that exceeded budgeted amounts?
It's in a footnote. Let me find it really quick. Might have been capital
Public
outlay.
Safety Department.
Oh, public.
Within their wages, we did do a budget amendment, but I did not estimate enough of wages. We have holidays in there, overtime, vacations, those last 15 days of the year. And we did budgeted amendments, I think, the first meeting in December. So
Thank you.
you don't know how much overtime they're going to, how much snow or, you know, what happens with public safety.
So how you prepare for like your budgeting season for the next year is you take into consideration all the recommendations here in preparation for rolling out the 2027 budget. So, and usually general fund expenditures are shared about almost equally between Parks and Recreation and Public Safety. They're like anywhere from 28 to 36% of our general fund budget on a yearly basis. So I would, so when we get ready for the planning for our budget for 2027, we would want to make sure that we were compensating for enough of public safety wages and overtime and time and a half and triple time and.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It is sometimes very hard to plan for not necessarily wages, but like other projects. You don't know what they're going to bill through the end of the year until after the end of the year. So you have to predict that when you're adopting your final budget amendments at the end of the year. So it's common to have over budget. In total, the city was still $1 million better than they budgeted for the general fund.
Thank you.
Yes.
This is not
A tiny-
unusual. And we're within the fall area, so to speak, with other cities.
I think every finance director tries to be in budget and they hate to see it when we have to report that they're not, but.
Mr. Wilmot.
Just one question, and this could be for you, could be for staff as well. And I'm trying to find the page, I can't find it real quick. But the analysis of the general fund actual versus budget.
Mhm.
At the end of the year, there are general fund projects that overlap that time period. How, this is remarkably close.
Yes.
In dollars.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Meaning, meaning if a project's not, if not, projects that's budgeted for 25 is not finished,
Mhm.
and it's not, you haven't yet made the expenditures,
Mhm.
how can you fairly compare budget versus actual?
Most of our projects are completed within the year, so we don't carry a lot of, what do they call it?
Just carry over fund balance. Mhm.
CIP construction and
Mhm.
progress. We don't have a lot of that, especially with the general fund, because most of those projects take place during the summer. And the streets as well. I think last year was the first year we've ever had kind of a carryover of a large streets project. But when we're doing the budget, comparing the difference mostly in the budget, when you look line for line in the general fund, the revenue and the expense side is mostly due to kind of guesstimating how much the Chill, Maple Block, Little Traverse Wheelway, those grants that we had through those, we were thinking maybe the Chill, this much would have been expended and we would have received this much revenue. So a lot of that was timing. So that's why you see such a.
So there is some guesstimating that goes on at that, yeah.
The grants definitely was a huge guesstimate, just not knowing how fast Maple Block would expend that grant. We thought it would be completely done by fourth quarter last year, and it's carried over. I think there's 375, 400,000 still to expend on that grant. So that's where most of the variances were. And then Penn Park project, that came in 125,000 less than what was in the CIP or what was in the budget. Maple Block, Traverse, Marina, gasoline. Marina, every year there's almost a budget adjustment for the Marina because you just don't know weather and gas prices really skew it from year to year. So you'll see almost every year there's budget amendments for.
Well, because I noticed the contrast between being able to look at this end of the year statement where everything comes together and the statements that we get with each council meeting that are largely unintelligible because of timing issues. In other words, you can't really look at them in a management and say, well, we're right on budget because of the timing issues. But it all seems to come together December 31st and
Yeah, because
rather remarkable.
At the end of the year, we're an accrual basis. The rest of the year, we're cash basis. Or if you're from the private sector, your accrual every month.
Thank you.
Does that make, okay.
Anyone else have a question or comment? What is our, for MERS, I don't know.
Funding percentage, you're doing well. You've been making additional payments.
I know last year we did a $500,000.
I was gonna say, it's an estimate, and I always point out that it's an estimate because it can.
Page 62. Thank you. Just in case.
Thank you.
The amount is around 439 or something it was.
You're 95% funded at the end of the
We're
year.
what?
95% funded.
90.
I thought you'd look at that first this year. Yes.
You were 88% funded in 2024.
We are 95% funded.
Mhm.
So
But-
that's what we're gonna do.
But
But I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but most of the increase was due to MERS investments. And you know, that's that can change tomorrow.
Right.
So that's the only drawback of, but it's nice to see that number sitting there.
We're so far ahead, so many people.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not comparing
And
ourselves.
this was because council 8 years ago started to put in $1 million. We were over 8 million, I think, at one time, weren't we close to it?
It was always $1 million for, I think, 4 years in a row.
That's on page, I'm sorry, 63 shows the extra contributions that have been made over the years.
But
At the
just
top
a
of the
side
page.
note, it does remain a moving target because of things
Yes.
that happen in Lansing. So we get excited about 95% and then they reassess something and, yeah.
But
Yeah,
back
assumptions change, interest rates change.
But back 10 years ago, we were in the 60s, so.
Correct.
We
Yep.
council took it that we needed to do something about it. It was like our federal debt. And it was admirable. Staff supported and was you guys were very positive about getting it down.
Oh, yeah, Al.
Thank
Alan
you.
Strable.
Yeah. There we go.
I think Mr.
Mr. Knopf, you have something you want to say?
Just a little bit of editorial. I think this is great. I think this is the greatest report card. This is where, as you said, it kind of, we go cash basis, and then it all comes together here. And I want to continue to reiterate how fiscally sound we are, in my opinion, how well you do in presenting the numbers during the year to us and in the answers. The report card comes out and says every year we're getting better and better. Our current ratio is amazing. We have, we went through this year with with decent surplus in spite of the ice storm, in spite of not posting the receivable from FEMA in our budget. That we treated that came in. So I want to continue to say to council, we're really strong, that we ought to feel very comfortable to make long-term commitments for the better of the city because of these year after year after year improving position. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Audrey, do you have something you want to say?
We did post for the utility, for the enterprise funds, that amount was booked to revenue just because of the nature of the utility funds. But all of the other funds, it was booked to, accrued revenue and grants receivable. So it's only on the balance sheet side, just so it's recognized that it would be coming.
About 415,000 was not able to be recorded as a receivable on your governmental funds.
That we got.
Did you receive it now?
Yes.
Oh, yay. It's the first I've heard that has come through of my clients. They've all been waiting for it.
Can I ask how many cities you do this with?
Oh, gosh. Probably 10 or more cities, townships.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for working with us and ours.
You're
I
welcome.
know we're all saying thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
I'll visit the city again next
I-
year. We wish you could have, come in the summer, I think it'd be
summer.
nice.
Yeah. No,
You can always come back and visit us again in the summer. Drive carefully.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Trina. Next is the consent agenda. It's the May 7th, 2026 regular session city council meeting minutes, as well as acknowledge the receipt from certain administrative transactions that have occurred since May 7th, 2026, as well as acknowledge a receipt of the April 2026 revenues and expenditures report and approval of the Bay Harbor fireworks display permit for July 3rd, 2026. If there's something in there that you wish to have taken out for discussion, etc., please let me know. Otherwise, I entertain a motion or subtractions, additions, changes to this. Mr. Moore.
I just had one concern with the resolution relative to D, the fireworks display. I don't know if you want me to just present that now or pop it out.
Also, You want to pull it out, or you want to just hear her make her comments and go from there?
Want to deny it or something?
Go for it. We'll listen.
Sure. If you look on page 62 of their request, very appropriate that they indicate that they're requesting Coast Guard support for safety purposes, as the sponsoring organization doesn't deem their patrol adequate for safety purposes. So they've applied to the Coast Guard, which is appropriate, but the Coast Guard hasn't approved that. So my only suggestion is that the resolution is fine, but it should be conditional on Coast Guard approval and participation, because they themselves say that's required for safety purposes. So that's what I wanted to bring forward.
So in other words, if they don't approve it, it can't happen.
No, yeah, exactly, that you would want to have,
Yeah,
yeah, that's all. We just don't have that.
but they legally can't do it without that approval anyway, can they?
Not the way this is drafted, because this says that all requirements, the resolution says that the materials have been reviewed and all requirements have been satisfied.
Okay.
So that's why I just suggested,
Would you like to make a motion to that?
yeah,
That?
sure. I would,
So do we pull this out?
but that's up to others if they're agreeable to that. That's why I put it forward at the outset.
Council, your preference to either leave it in and put the addition of that in this, or pull it out and do it as a separate issue? Mr. Wilmot?
I think that we can make a motion which includes that condition, so that we don't have to make a separate resolution.
Sounds good to me.
So I move for acceptance of the consent agenda and approval of the consent agenda as presented, with the exception or with the addition of assuring that Coast Guard approval is received to complete the fireworks display permit.
Support.
So I have a motion from Mr. Wilmot, a second from Mr. Moore. Any other discussions, questions, or comments or anything? I go to Ms. Beck for roll.
Wilmot,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Nachtrob,
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0 for consent agenda. Next is public comment. This is your opportunity, if you wish to speak to council, to come forward. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to council? Sir, come on down. Here's the deal. You give us your full name. You don't have to give us your address unless you wish. Your full name, push the button so it's green. Is it on?
The screen?
Yep,
Okay.
it's green. And address council and not the audience. Go for it.
Okay. Hi, I'm Dell Ingalls, 1219 Kalamazoo. I tried to get my son Sam here through the last few months to do my bidding, but he declined. I'm here to discuss our rapidly increasing demographic segment in the city, our resident deer herd. And I'm at ground zero kind of for that, where our home is. The population is growing rapidly. I have pretty much 6 to 8 deer living on my property. And any given day, most days, another 15 to 20 coming through to and fro. There were 4 staring me down as I left the driveway this evening, heading down here. So, and the population is about to double because it's that time of the year, right? So, my concerns are that a number of damage to my property is increasingly hard to deal with. Impossible is a better term. Deterioration of quality of life, with pets and such. Concerns about health with ticks and Lyme disease concerns for the family, and just concerns for nature balance. It's just not natural that there's no balance here. So I encourage the city to take some bold action. And if I could say it this way, I would say doing nothing is no longer an option. Something needs to happen. It's just out of control. So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak to councilors? Anybody online, Sarah?
None.
I see none. Now we go to city manager's report. I turn it over to city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. My comments are fairly brief. I knew we were heavy on presentations this evening, so I kept my report fairly condensed. Upcoming meetings this week. Tomorrow night, we have our Downtown Management Board meeting, Tuesday night, May 19th at 6 o'clock in the community room. Followed by Wednesday of this week, Planning Commission meets for their regular monthly meeting on May 20th at 6 o'clock as well in the community room. Some brief updates on our large spring construction projects. Howard Street, Mitchell to Michigan, water and storm sewer have been completed. All infrastructure in place, underground. Sidewalk brickwork has started this week. Irrigation and restoration work has begun. Sod and tree planting starting this week. And then asphalt paving to start the last week of May. And I'll always preface my comments, weather permitting. Days like today don't allow a lot of progress, at least in the afternoon. So hopefully we don't have many more washouts going forward. Bart Garden Lot, storm sewer infrastructure is completed. Irrigation and landscaping work has started. Grading and the aggregate base is in place and complete. We will begin asphalt paving this week. Concrete approach and remaining sidewalk to be completed the last week of May. And then that follows cleanup, restoration, pavement markings, signage, and the pay station installation following paving. So we are coming up against the kind of the fourth quarter of our project. So both have progressed very well, and that's a credit to our contractors that are working diligently to get this work done. One more reminder on our weekly rubbish collection program. We had round 1 last week. We'll complete round 2 this week, starting tomorrow night, or tomorrow, I should say, west of Howard Street. That's May 19th. And then east of Howard Street on Wednesday, May 20th. So we encourage folks to get their materials out to the curb and refer to our website for things that are permitted to be placed at the curb. Mattresses are not permitted. We have tagged a number of mattresses. We do not pick up mattresses. We encourage those to be recycled at the facility, Emmett County's facility. Small yard waste continues through the end of the month on Thursdays. We also encourage folks, do not put loose material in the gutter pans. Place them in a container. We will empty the container and leave your container. But placing them in the gutter pan causes stormwater issues, kind of filling our catch basin covers. So do not place your small yard waste in the gutter pans, but containerize those and we'll pick those up. So that goes on again through the end of May. And brush chipping will continue on through the summer into the fall on Mondays, first and third Mondays through the month of April or through the month of November for brush chipping services. So those are a few reminders. Again, our projects are moving well. And one more kudos to Audrey and Bridget and our finance team. This audit doesn't happen on its own. There's a lot of inputting into the portal that our auditors have provided us, and that inputting goes on really for a 2-3 month period. There's a lot of late evenings that Audrey has put into this. And so again, kudos to Audrey and her team for the great work in this audit that's been presented to you this evening.
Thank you. And thanks from Bridget as well.
You deserve this. I know we've had council meetings where he'll say, oh, We could ask Audrey, she's downstairs right now working. We know that you put many.
Oh, if I'm working or not. I just might-
Well, you just don't want to go home.
I've got the TV, I've got the game on.
Oh, okay. Mr. Wilk,
Yeah, my hat's off, particularly on this Howard Street project. I mean, you say that paving will begin the last week in May. Well, that's like next week. It looks like it's ready to pave now almost. I mean, this looks like it's gonna be hopefully, earlier than you had originally forecast if the weather holds out, because it's going beautifully as compared to last year, which was torture.
Yes, I would say amen to those comments. I certainly don't want to overpromise, but we are headed on the right trajectory to potentially do a little bit better than what we said mid-June. So I don't want to jinx ourselves and have the monsoons start to pour into town and hover over us. But again, I really credit to our team that's in the field, Jason and Matt, who really and really get these projects. I've been out on the field watching them, kind of how they interact, and it's like traffic cops out there directing traffic and moving people around like puzzle pieces. So they've done a really great job of keeping up with our contractor. Our contractor has really, done a great job, and so that's been very, very good, very helpful. I think we're all pushing in the right direction. We have taken some hits with downtown business owners. They've expressed concern about how having that intersection down. There's just not we started very early. We started in April as quickly as we could. And it's just been, we're trying to get it. No one wants to get out of downtown quicker than us. We want to get out of the way. We understand that it's an inconvenience. But hopefully this short-term inconvenience is something that we'll be able to look back and say it was just a blip on the radar, and we can all enjoy improved infrastructure. We can all enjoy improved surface, and just the amenities that come along with that. So we did have a water leak in the alley on Friday, of course, afternoon. That caused our crew to stay. I think they finally wrapped up about 9 o'clock in the evening. We were concerned that would require an outage, a water outage, which on a Friday night, shutting water off to restaurants downtown was concerning. So fortunately, we were able to kind of work around the water and keep the water on. Again, kudos to our field staff for being able to work through those conditions, but you just never know infrastructure wise what may happen and what may pop next. But we're excited to kind of be at this point anyway, and hopefully we can kind of kick this across the goal line here soon.
also any comments or questions? Ms. Walker.
Thank you. Thanks, Shane, for the report. Can you tell me if, or maybe you discussed this at last council meeting, but that the Petoskey Farmers Market has been moved back a week because of the Howard Street reconstruction project, and that it's going to be hosted at the old Petoskey News Review parking lot? I think the owner of that is offered to kick off the farmers market on May the 29th. as
Yes,
opposed to this
thanks
day.
for that reminder. We were planning on starting on the 22nd. The decision was made by the chamber to push it one more week. And then we'll have it probably 1, maybe 2 weeks at the former Petoskey News Review site in that parking lot for that 1 to 2 week period. And then we'll obviously be back open and be able to put it back where it was. But so there'll be maybe 1 to 2 weeks that will be at that location, but that'll kick off on the 29th. Thank you.
Anything else, council?
It was disappointing. It was the chamber's decision to not do it on the 22nd. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do we have any reason why they decided not? Because I know there has been some disappointment expressed by both vendors and the public.
Yeah.
I think that was just a coordination of there's still a lot going on down there. Still a lot of construction traffic, and then just for the safety of the general public, it would benefit us by pushing this 1 more week to kind of get some people out of the way and kind of open a little bit of traffic for the farmer's market. So that was one of the justifications. Nikki's got her hand up. She can probably talk more intelligently about it than I.
Hey there.
Hello,
Um,
Nikki.
Hope everyone is well tonight. Yes, you kind of touched on it, Shane. The biggest concern was just the additional traffic, and by holding 1 week, it allows us a little bit more safety, a little bit more flexibility. And we're extremely grateful to David Meikle for allowing us to use the Petoskey News Review parking lot. The original plan was to have it on the Greenway corridor, but with construction and with the Darling lot, and the space that we would need for the vendors, we were concerned that could be a safety issue as well. So this is kind of the best situation. And I will say that Emily Stuchel on our staff, who runs the farmers market and is our market manager, we did reach out to all vendors prior to moving it a week to see their comfort level as well. And they were in support of, make sure that we're going to do it the right way, do it where everyone is safe, our vendors are safe, and we can kind of not make the congestion any worse. So, and we'll extend it a week, most likely in the fall as well, and go one extra week as long as weather allows us to.
Thank you, Nikki. Any other comments? Then we move on. We're going to go to old business. It's second reading, possible adoption of a proposed ordinance amending Appendix A, which is the zoning map concerning rezoning of 224 Michigan Street from office service to B2B mixed use corridor. Mr. Moore.
I will once again make a statement for the record. I will abstain from voting on and participating in discussion on this rezoning request and the following agenda item regarding the expansion of the parking exempt district due to a potential conflict of interest, as my husband and I own adjacent properties on the 200 block of Michigan Street. And as the next agenda item indicates, my husband, Charlie Redstadt, offered input to the Planning Commission regarding his perspective on the proposed parking expansion. Thank you.
Mr. Knobtrop.
Just a question, is there any changes from the first reading? This is.
No
Last
changes.
time we didn't have any issues with it.
Yeah, correct. No changes.
Okay.
The owner is here. She wasn't able to join us at the first reading. If you had any direct questions for Lindsay, she is in attendance today.
Otherwise, I'd entertain the motion.
I'd be happy to make a motion to do this.
I'll second the motion, Mayor.
Okay, so the motion is to
Approve the ordinance.
amend the zoning map to include the rezoning of 224 Michigan Street, okay? Any other discussion? Public wish to weigh in on this at this time? Are there being none, I go to Ms. Beck for roll.
Knobtrop,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Wilmot,
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. The next one is the second reading and possible adoption of a proposed ordinance amending Appendix A zoning ordinance, Article 17, Section 71704C concerning expanding parking exempt district to also to include 224 Michigan Street. Mr. Wilmot.
I move acceptance of this provision to include the central business parking for 224 Michigan.
Support.
I have a motion from Mr. Wilmot, a second from Mr. Knobtrop. Any other discussion, council? Public wish to speak on this to the council? There being none, I go to City Clerk Beck for roll.
Wilmot.
Aye.
Knobtrop,
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Now we're going to new business. There are 3 items. One's the adoption of a proposed resolution that would establish property tax millage rates for 2026. And that would authorize appropriations of the property tax revenues, the various city funds, as well as previously have been approved as part of the city's 2026 annual budget. I'm going to turn it over to City Manager Horn.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is our annual process that we go through, kind of setting our millages for our summer tax bills that will be released, as was mentioned in the memo, and approved in the 2026 budget. No changes to the established millage rates. Obviously, as we know, the inflation rate for 2026 as calculated by Treasury was 2.7%. And so we're capped at that inflationary rate. So there will be a loss of revenue for the city overall as a result of these Headley rollbacks to the tune of about just over $200,000 in revenue loss that we will not realize as a result of this continued rollback. So there was a few questions that brought about today about how this may impact the average, I guess, taxpayer in the city of Petoskey. As hard as it is to kind of maybe guesstimate, we kind of see this as flat when you add in the values, taxable values that have increased in Petoskey. You subtract that inflationary rate that the Headley has rolled back. So the millages that everybody will pay are less than what we had last year. So I think that results, you know, I ran a calculation actually Audrey ran the calculation for Councilmember Wilmot just to kind of see how it may impact him directly. And the change was $19. So he'll pay $19 less in taxes. So when you say flat, that's likely, you know, you're not going to see a large increase, but you're not going to see a large decrease either. And when we do the tally for individuals. So these rates that are in the memo are what is, again, Audrey went through and made the calculations based on the formula that's in the memo as well. Obviously, we don't have any ability to make any changes to that. We run the numbers that were provided, and then the result is the millages that have slowly rolled back. So obviously, if we ever want to consider additional revenue, you know, looking at restoring some of this rollback that's occurred with an override, something that the school just went through, you know, in May with their election, try to recover some of this, some of these millage rates that, again, we've lost over the course of time based on Prop A. But these are the numbers that are in front of you. Again, no changes to the millage rates from the previous year, just a reduction based on the Headley millage rollback. So happy to answer questions. Audrey's here as well to answer questions or concerns.
Questions for council for either Audrey or the city manager? Mr. Wilmot.
It's actually not a question, but in doing the calculation, the proposed 2026 millages are actually 2% down. So that's after Headley, is that what you're saying? I didn't understand that, because they're not the same as 2025.
The millage rate itself has decreased by
2%.
2.575 mils.
Yes. Right.
And the taxable value increased by 2.7%.
Right. So that all balances out, in other words.
Mhm.
So the millage, you actually backed into the millages in accordance with what the budgetary needs were for the 2026 budget, correct?
No backing in. This is just, when we do the budget in the fall, we track all year what we think the increase in taxable value will be, or per the state inflationary rate.
Right.
And we can get it pretty close because their calendar year is October through September. So I had originally budgeted 2.5% taxable increase in it, or 2.6, and it came out to 2.7 when the state released the number. And then each unit of government, schools or Greenwood Cemetery, each unit has a different rollback factor. So that's why we can only speak for the city portion of the taxes.
Right.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
It does. So the good news is the millages went down. The offsetting news is because of the appraised values going up even after Headley, it doesn't result in much of a discount
Mhm.
for the taxpayer, but at least it does not represent an increase.
And it doesn't, and that does not account for properties that have had improvements upon their property or for homes that have sold and uncapping to occur within those new purchases.
Even though there is some concerning rumors in Lansing about doing away with, I don't know if you saw some of that uncapping
Mhm.
discussion where potentially that may go away. Obviously, when I bought my house on Lindell, the previous owner had been there, I don't know, 30 plus years probably. So he was capped, and then when I bought it, it uncapped, and so I started at a much higher level. So there's been discussion in Lansing about doing away with that. I'm not sure what that looks like. Well, there's been discussion about removing property tax completely. I don't know if that'll ever get traction, but, and who knows how that's gonna be replaced, but,
Just a question, when you said they're talking about removing it, what does that mean? Just not uncapping it?
so not, so when a property changes hands, it would still be at the same level.
Value?
Taxable value, so you wouldn't realize, we get to realize additional revenue because it uncaps and it's now at that current modern day level, so there's discussion about eliminating that, so, again, I don't know where that's at or if that's just, in discussionary phase, but, that is out there. I know the league has advised, its members about, the municipal league has advised its members that this is ongoing discussion, so.
I'm not a big taxing guy, but that doesn't seem fair. Doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways to look at it because we're not receiving, kind of how the assessors base the value once you purchase that home, because now your market value around you, yeah, the sales and everything that they base it on, but I receive phone calls from new owners of residents that, they'll purchase a house and beforehand their real estate company, or they've looked, online in Emmett County, and they have a pretty good idea of what that, say, older resident who's lived there 30 years is paying in taxes, and then depending on their income, they pay the same amount the first year, the next year it becomes uncapped, and they get this huge bill, and they're so upset at the city. It's like, it's a state, yes, it's a state,
Yeah.
thing, but I can see their concern when you think you're budgeted this much for your taxes.
I felt sorry for a couple of people that have called older women is what it was, these two. And I felt very bad because they called and said, do you realize what you guys are doing to me tax wise? And it's like, the realtor should probably have let you know what is going to happen within 1 year from the time you purchase it.
So how do you, if I may, how do you explain that? Like when you're called upon and you're asked to like understand or justify that the city has increased my taxes? I don't understand how you would come back with like an answer to that.
I explain it kind of like I explained it here, try to explain that that person has their taxes have only increased per the inflationary rate each year, it's capped at this much, but once you purchase a new home, the value of it is different than that person that had lived there for 30 years based on the sales around you, and 50% of replacement cost is part of it and market value at the time. But there was something, I went to a conference last week and there was discussion about mandating realtors to disclose to purchasers this uncapping process. So people would not be so unaware of it.
Yeah, that would be great.
Mhm.
Mr. Wilmot.
Yeah, I would support that as well, because the truth of the matter is, we've been in our home now since 2013. Let's see, that's 13 years, right? we could not afford to buy our home today. Not just because of the price, but also because of the subsequent change in the tax base. So it really is a snowball in the face for people that don't understand that going in.
Absolutely.
Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. And so in terms of like assessor and assessment of property, so just looking at my tax bill, which my taxes are super low, so it's like hardly anything. But it says like in the notes that when your taxes do go up, it's like something like, it's because of the market value of like the homes around you.
No, your assessed value might increase.
Okay.
Based on market value and home sales around you, but taxable value is at these state rates of inflation.
Or the state equalized value, is that another like term that they use in like a line item in the?
We used to have that on our tax bills. There
Okay.
used to be state
DV, yeah.
equalized, assessed value and taxable value. And I think they got rid of that in 94 or something. I'm not sure on that.
So I just have another question because it relates to the people are receiving letters about having city staff or contractors come through and take pictures of the exterior part of their homes to determine if there's been any updates that would kind of trigger an increase in somebody's property value based on exterior improvements? Is that the objective of that?
Are you talking from the assessor or?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, that's updating. We are required to do, is it 20%?
20%.
20% of our parcels have to go through a process of kind of reassessing each year. So we go around and our assessor, that's part of his contract to make sure that we're checking that box, if you will. So going around and getting pictures and looking at improvements that have been made is part of his contract to do so. So yes, we will go around and get those pictures collected, get those updates complete. So we are required to do 20%. Yeah.
And that is not an extra building or outbuilding for supplies or something like that. That does not affect it at all, I know.
I think it would, if you put something on your property, an accessory building, because that would add value to your property.
I just talked to somebody who, at the Arts Commission, who was told when they came through that their little shed that they put up does not count because it's not attached or a part of the actual home itself. It was Kathy.
Theoretically, you shouldn't be able to capture much because you already capture improvements through building permits, do you not? So the assessor already has access to any improvements that may have been built, may have been made to the home by notification of the building permit.
That is correct, but I live in the country. I redo our whole back deck and,
Well, if it's not done with a permit,
right, so I
then
decided
it
not to.
could,
well,
then it might be caught by this 20% review, but theoretically, the review shouldn't catch anything that hasn't already been caught through the building permit process.
If the resident is pulling the permit, so I put on a deck, I don't pull the permit. The purpose of the assessor inspecting the outside of my home, he would catch that, oh, she put on a huge deck on the back, permit was not pulled.
The permit would be done based on your contractor may have pulled the permit, but it'd be based on your address. So theoretically, the assessor should have access.
If I pulled the permit.
If you pulled.
Mr. Moore.
Just for what it's worth, following up to Ms. Walker, it's my understanding based on the form that was submitted is it's optional. You have to give permission. So otherwise it's an estimate.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anything else, council?
We need a motion on
Do I have a motion?
Also move.
Oh,
wait.
may I say one thing before we
Please.
continue? On the updated budget numbers for the various funds, there's kind of an unknown, it's on the second page of the agenda memo. So we have what the gross tax revenues will be,
Oh, seven.
76, I'm sorry. And we have the Township Act 425, that's the 2.5 that we pay to Resort Township, and that's 2.5 mils of the Act 24 properties. That is updated from the assessor. I received a report. But the TIFA captures this year, two of the TIFAs, the lofts at Lumber Square and the Maple Block. Those, it's our first year getting a large increase in those values of those two projects. So those estimates were taken off of when the projects were brought to city council and approved, what they estimated the increased value would be from one year to another. So that's the only thing that might be significantly different is the TIFA captures here. Just to give a heads up, for the future, once we receive the tax roll.
So the good news, though, is that in the resolution, it's only the millage rates. So,
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
thank you.
So did I have a motion?
And support, I think.
Who made the motion? I'm sorry.
And I needed a second.
Support.
So I have a motion from Mr. Knobtrop and a second from Ms. Demore. Any other discussion? Public wish to weigh in on this? I go to Ms. Beck for roll.
Knoptrop,
Aye.
Demore,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Wilmot,
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Next is the adoption of a proposed resolution that would authorize contracting with RB Lions Incorporated of Charlevoix for marine ice damage reports.
I'll have Kendall come up. We kind of saved Kendall stuff to the last since he doesn't have anything to do tonight, so.
Well,
It's too foggy out there for.
yeah, well, we'll keep it brief. This is a periodic maintenance issue, particularly when we get heavy ice in the marina, fluctuating water levels. You can take a walk down there and you can see a lot of the pilings that the boats tie up to are heaved. The ends of the docks, some of the finger piers have been raised. So when that happens, we write a specification and offer that job or publicize that job for contractors to come out and fix it. We need to do that this year. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge because of the ice was on the marina late. This bid didn't get out till late, so we're gonna have to do some marina shuffling with boats, but it's certainly something that we can't predict, but it is something that we'll need to address.
Question, Ms. Demore.
Any thoughts on the significant difference between the two bids?
The higher bid is out of Traverse City, and that's about an 18-hour barge push. So at 5 miles an hour, it takes a lot of gas. With the gas, price is obviously a lot higher. So it's nice that the outfit out of JB Lions out of Charlevoix was able to bid this.
Got it, thank you.
Mr. Wilmot.
I move that we adopt the proposed resolution authorizing to contract with RB Lions of Charlevoix, Michigan for ice damage in the amount of $94,230.
Second from anybody.
Support.
Ms. Demore is the second. So I have a motion from Mr. Wilmot, second from Ms. Demore. Council, any other discussions, questions? Mr. Knobtrop.
I just had just a question on the contract. What's the expected timing of start to finish?
They will likely be here about a week. Hoping to get them in mid-June.
To get them in here mid-June to start?
Yes.
Thank you.
Where do they take the dredgings?
No, that's a different.
That's the
one.
next
That's the next one.
That's the next one. Okay.
So there will be some maneuvering. It's not ideal. It's not the greatest time of the year to do this. We were hoping to have it done like now. But, so we're gonna have to have boat owners move around while we do this work, but hopefully we can get in and get out and with limited disruption.
Do you end up having to
We've
go
done it, we've done it before.
You know,
2021,
between the actual piers, right?
they have to go between the piers. They won't have to go in any of the boat slips.
Okay. Any other questions or possible motion?
I already have it.
We have a- oh, we
Ready.
do.
Yep.
We have from Mr. Wilmot and a second from Mr. Moore. Other questions, public wish to weigh in? There being none, I go to Ms. Beck for roll.
Wilmot.
Aye.
Demore.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Knocktrub.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Now I get my question answered. Next one is the adoption of proposed resolution that authorizing execution of the State of Michigan Department of Natural Resource Grant Agreement for the marine dredging. I go back to Kendall for information.
Well, last year we had some significant depth issues, particularly between this pier closest to us is our D pier. And then the one next to us, the next one in is C pier. We had some pretty significant depth issues pertaining to the river spoils, sediment movement. And fortunately, this year, because of our spring, we're actually up about 18 inches. I did have this bathymetric survey on this we did a real comprehensive bottomland survey, which indicates the depth of every slip in the marina, as well as the main channel and as far up the river as we could go. So hopefully this year, we are going to be able to operate. We have not had any issues thus far. But this again is kind of a product of the environment with the low water levels. Obviously, we need to have boats, particularly the sailboats, that have a lot of draft, be able to get in and out of our pier or of our harbor. So this year, it's been good, but the plan is to get this out and to get this dredged this fall. So then we could dredge the entire marina after the season. Because again, by the time we get this out, the state approves it, it's gonna be July or August by the time, this is a doable contract. And in my mind, it's gonna be next to impossible to try to dredge every slip with boats in there. So this would be a project that we would do, likely in October.
And where does the dredging material go?
9/11 Lockwood.
200 East Lake Street.
Yeah, don't.
Y'all might be interested in.
Want some dredging spoils.
But I guess it goes to an excavating pit is my guess.
It will go on public property. In the past, we've taken it kind of behind Gibson's there in the Bear River Valley. We have talked about potentially, taking some of the spoils over to the Winter Sports Park to help with some of the forming of our bottom of our, ski and sledding hill, which will be contingent upon, some other, plans we have for that. So we have some options. It isn't something we have to decide tonight. But we'll evaluate as we write the specs to see where the best option to put that
This
stuff.
grant is for 200,000,
Correct.
and the other 200 comes out of the TIF, is that correct?
Comes out of the Marina Fund,
The Marina Fund or
The reserve.
the Marina Reserve, yes.
Marina Reserve?
The other thing to keep in mind is, and correct me if I have this wrong, Kendall, but this is a 5-year grant, so we do have some time. But like Kendall mentioned, we're hoping to get in and done this fall. Is that-
Well, the permit, the Eagle permit, which since this memo was submitted, I did receive notification from Eagle that the permit has been approved. So we actually have now a 5-year permit through the state where if we have to come back in 4 years and dredge, we don't need to go through the Eagle permitting process again. Typically, these waterways grants are anywhere between 2 and 3 years. So we have plenty of time to be able to get this project done.
Do I have a motion? Mr. Wilmot?
Yeah, a question for you. Have you calculated, the marina for the last couple of years has been effectively sold out for the entire summer, correct? So well, whatever the sales are, what kind of decreased rental revenue activity do you anticipate as a result of these improvements?
I don't anticipate any revenue decrease because of the improvements.
Well, because you have to move boats around, you can't occupy all the slips.
Well, okay, so, this is the dredging project itself will be done after the season is out. So we won't have boats to navigate around. The piling project, as we've done with the past, we've communicated with the boaters and with the barge operators. If boats need to go, then we will allow them, or we'll tell them to move the day before. We typically have enough open slips to accommodate those number of boats.
So they'll use the transient slip.
They'll use the transient slips. So we might have 6 or 8 boats that might be pinned in, and we'll communicate with those boat owners and say, we're gonna fix the docks. If you need to go someplace or wanna go someplace, let's get your boat out. So then we'll move them to another slip in the marina.
We've had some sizable watercraft occupying premier spots. Those won't be compromised this year?
They shouldn't be compromised.
Thank you.
Mr. Knobtrop.
Just a follow-up question on your point about the removal of where it goes. It's a dumb question. Why can't you just put it in the middle of the bay? It's really deep water there.
I wish we could.
Is that a?
That's-
an Eagle requirement? I got it.
It is, I know.
Charlevoix was able to do that when they dredged, what is that little creek or river that goes through there, Pine or what not? Pine River. They took material out and were able to dump it. I don't know how they got around that or not, but
So this is just stuff coming out of the water.
putting it back where it came from.
Sediment, yeah.
Yeah. Believe me, Commissioner, I asked that question all sorts of ways, and
Is there any logic that they provide?
not really.
The rules.
But that's, you used to be able to do that. But evidently, that's not a thing that Eagle or the Bottomland, the Bottomland Division will allow.
From the Bear River Valley, and like, you're not gonna take soil and sediment and move it into the middle of the lake where there's not like erosion or discharge happening.
Yeah.
Well,
It's incredibly deep.
contact your person.
Your Eagle.
It's never as easy as what you hope it could be, but
Do I have a motion?
What?
For this one?
I'll be happy to make a motion, Mayor.
A motion from Ms. Walker and a second from Mr.
Wilmot,
Wilmot.
second.
Second, so a motion from Ms. Walker, a second from Mr. Wilmot. Other discussion, public? Steph?
Walker,
Aye.
Wilmot,
Aye.
Demore,
Aye.
Knocktron,
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
thank you.
You're very welcome. Next is city council comments, and I'll start with Ward 3, Mr. Knobtrop.
By 3.
Mayor gets to choose his discretion.
I move it around. I try to,
I recognize that.
Keep everybody awake.
I'm going to continue to reiterate that I would like this council to think long-term. Our finances are strong, and that you drive around this community, the downtown needs, if I look at this the next 20 years, and we want to have a thriving community, our downtown needs a lot of work, and our housing stock of $200,000 to $400,000 housing stock needs help. And I sure would like to see us become proactively partnering with people that want to do that and using some of our resources to support it. Just a continual thing.
Ward 4, Ms. Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. I did have a question. I know that I was unable to attend the last city council meeting rescheduled for the Thursday of election week. And I did notice that there was something that didn't get transferred from a first reading around bicycles to city council for a second reading. And in the minutes or the notes, it said that it was going to be transferred to back down to the downtown management board for a formal discussion, as well as Parks and Recreation for a formal discussion and recommendation. And I'm just kind of curious, so would that be something that would transfer over to our next meeting? Because Parks and Recreation has met and the Downtown Management Board will be meeting this week.
Tomorrow.
But if there's no formal recommendations coming forward, then do we go back to a first reading again?
There will be recommendations from both bodies that'll come back here for the June 1st meeting.
So it'd be a first reading, basically.
Yes, first reading.
I attended the Parks and Rec, and they did pass a resolution, which we will receive.
Okay, that's not something to do. Okay, and then, okay, so to go back to my comments, I did, in preparation for our ward convention, I have, somebody in my neighborhood and we're doing assessments of vacant buildings, primarily housing. And we came up within a 4-block radius, 9 vacant buildings, some of which are registered. Sarah Beck actually provided me with the list of those homes that have registered. There are no commercial properties registered with our vacancy ordinance. So I'm hopeful that maybe we will be revisiting that because the legal loopholes have been found by attorneys representing commercial property owners in downtown Petoskey. So clearly, we got to go back to the drawing board again and talk to legal counsel about how you move this, because I can predict that what our city convention will look like will be the exact same conversation, outrage of our residents about the downtown vacancies. So place your bets now. And I am concerned about the number of vacancies because it's a cognitive disconnect between our housing crisis and unhoused people. And particularly on Bridge Street, there are 4 vacant homes on Bridge Street where the housing of the homeless shelter is too. So stark discrepancies in our neighborhood. At the same time, we have that juxtaposition of Ward 4 being the place where there are now another 262 units. And with a new hotel coming online, that'll be another 9 units. So over 270 units of rental housing in Ward 4, and yet many, many vacancies of homes as well. So looking forward to all that.
I would just encourage council, if you see something that's not on the list, get with me and we'll do a deep dive on it and figure out why that's not on our list. But we do need to bring this back to you with some language. People get creative and we're finding creativity every day. So that language will be coming, or that ordinance will be coming back to you to tighten back up accordingly.
There you go.
I don't think there's any such word as legal creativity, is there? Doesn't actually work.
Yes.
Ward 2, Mr. Wilmot.
Okay, I just wanted to report that I attended the Petoskey Rails presentation at the Carnegie Building on, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday night. It was largely the same presentation as we saw last year. Perhaps, was that here in City Council?
It was right here.
But they have made progress. Their long-range plan that has been a 2-year, 3-year project will be released shortly if it's not already released. And so you can be looking for that. They have completed their models and they're still moving forward. On Friday, I attended with Shane and Lindsay the Northern Lakes Economic Alliance Symposium down at Boyne Mountain. It was a good event. A lot of local speakers. I learned a great deal and had an opportunity to network. That's my report.
Ward 1, Mr. Moore.
Support for Ms. Walker's comments regarding follow-up on vacancies. I look forward to that. Second of all, in the lane of adults modeling mistakes, I omitted to announce one of the seniors. So I will do that now. Mia Yepes, a member of the Petoskey Youth Advisory Council, is headed to North Central Michigan College and then on to Northern Michigan. And want to make sure everybody saw the city manager's email about the zoning preemption legislation that is still moving forward in Lansing. That should be on everybody's radar because it basically takes away the power of localities to make decisions about essential parts of zoning. And if you have a perspective on that, you may want to reach out to Representative Fairburn and/or Senator DeMoose. Thank you.
I had the opportunity to attend League of Women Voters on what night was that? Wednesday night. Mr. Wilmot was also there. And it was about climate change and how it's going to affect migration of people into our area, and that we really need to start taking a look at it. The Arts Commission on Thursday identified selected art for their Marina wall walk. And we expect that those will be in and up and end of August. Also, I attended a conference in Traverse City on a Northwest Michigan Arts and Culture Conference with and Sheila Runes, our consultant for the Arts Commission. Also, she also attended it. It's good that we have networking to see if we can get more funds and support for arts in our community. There being nothing else, I call this meeting adjourned. Have a good day. We have one more meeting and then we have the city convention and ward conventions. City manager will be getting you guys, as always, we'll be getting a packet or a list, a couple page of activities that have happened in the city in the last year. So you'll have something to take to your wards.
I asked for construction updates too. I mean, I know that.
We'll need construction updates. And we'll also need updates on where we're at with the vacant buildings and going through court, where we are with the Emmett County Building Department and the courts. And understand that once they take over, our hands basically, is that right, Shane, are tied?
Yeah, we're International Property Maintenance Code. Emmett County is building code, so those, we work very closely together, but they're different statutes, different codes that we're working on, but
different animal.
It's likely we're gonna need to schedule some closed session time in the near future to get further direction.
Okay.
Thank you.